my latest video was about sponsorships and how to get them, and as
I haven't watched it yet, Mike. I'm so sorry.
I want to bring some light to the pilots because they're asking me how to get a sponsorship like 20 times a day. I decided to just make the video so they get some light on it, and mainly because they can get some of the stuff, like they can get some of the stuff right, because there is some wrong information on the internet about sponsorships. How did you get your first one?
How did I get my first sponsorship? Well, I used to skate as a kid, and there was always this sort of like, you know how you'd get sponsored skateboarders? They would rock the shoes that they were sponsored by and stuff like that. You always looked up to the big professionals that had loads of sponsors, and they got all the free stuff. But then if you went down a little bit, there was kind of like a sort of lower tier sponsorship, which was like, you could get sponsored by the local shop. And that was the thing, like where I lived, like we had a skate shop in our town, and you'd know that there was like 2 or 3 skateboarders that got sponsored by that shop. And it was really cool because they just got merch from the shop and they represented the shop, and they would tell people to go shop there, and that was it. So my first sponsorship was actually from a shop, because it was this dude who quite local to me. He lives an hour and a half away or so. And he was just like, yeah, well, we've been thinking about doing some like sponsored pilots type things, and do you want to do something like that? And I was like, yeah, that'd be a great idea. So he sponsored a few of us that were local, and it was literally that. It was just like a local thing.
One thing, how many followers did you have at that time? Was it important for the process?
No, it wasn't important for the process then, because I think it was only really just like a little local thing. I was pretty small. I don't know, maybe under 1,000, I'd say, definitely. Probably like 500 followers on Instagram, something like that. The As Your Power one came out of that as well, because the owner of the shop said he'd been contacted by As Your Power. They were looking for sponsored freestyle pilots, and so he just put our names forward to them. So that's how that came about. I don't think I never outright asked the company for sponsorship. Actually, you know what I did? I asked RC Empower for sponsorship before I got on T-Motor. And the reason was because they did a pink and blue motor that was really, really sick and it would look amazing for my builds. And they were actually relatively difficult to get hold of in the UK. So I was basically just looking for a source for these like beautiful motors that I loved. And I contacted them, and they said, they only really sponsor racers. They don't do freestyle. And that was the kind of, that's where that conversation sort of ended, really. They were like, your stuff's really cool and everything, but we just concentrate on racing. And I guess that's kind of true for quite a lot of brands, or maybe it was.
Kind of, it was.
People do freestyle more.
Yeah.
But outside of that, no. I think sponsorships come to you. You don't go searching for them, really. Well, I don't know. Maybe some people do, or maybe some people do have that as a goal. But for me, it was just like, just get better, just fly more, and just try and make the best shit you can.
You were not flying towards getting sponsorship. Your goal was getting better.
Yeah, and it was just making better videos and just making
better videos. Content. Exactly.
Yeah,
one of the things that I talked about on the video, it was once you get your first sponsorship, it's gonna open the gates to new ones, because now you know the responsibility of getting a sponsorship. So it's gonna open new gates for new one and contacts. And in this case, this shop recommended you to Assure Power, right? And then you got sponsored by them. Mm-hmm. Then it came another and another and another, and it was not because of the following, it was of the video, like the flying videos, because you might have 20 million followers, but if your videos are crap,
quality was king, I think, for me.
Yeah.
Well, in my head, that was the thing I was always chasing. If a company is going to choose you to represent them, they're going to want then their stuff to look good, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Your video is just you slagging off a load of other shit, and then it's sponsored by GemFan at the end. Like, no, that's not going to look good. Like, they're not going to want that. You got to be.
But I've received some feedback from some pilots saying, so only social media presence is good to get sponsorships and not flight videos. And it's not, because it's both, actually. if you're the best pilot in the world, but only your mom sees your videos, how the hell are you gonna get something out and gonna get sponsored by some company if you don't post your videos and you show them just on your family reunions? You need to advertise yourself to be able to get there, because the companies have hundreds of applications weekly.
I'm sure, yeah. I haven't watched your video, so there's a good chance that I might repeat stuff or contradict you. We'll see. But you have to kind of realize that sponsorship isn't just... Well, I mean, I imagine a lot of people want to get sponsored because they want free stuff, right? It's like the dream to be able to have components just... an everlasting supply of components you don't have to pay for, because then you can just fly harder and do more crashes and, not worry about it. But they have to be getting something out of it as well. So it's like you have to realize that the company is sponsoring you. They're sending you product which isn't free for them. Yeah, it's not as expensive as what you pay for it, but if they send you like a bunch of motors or whatever, that's a bunch of motors that they could have sold. So
exactly,
like if you don't have a following, that will play into their decision, because they're like, well, we can get a decent amount of eyes on our product if we put it in this guy's hand. If we put it on this guy,
I mean, yes, it's something I mentioned that actually that same point. Like I said it, that a sponsorship is a two-way deal.
Yeah. Exactly.
The company gives you products, and you help promote the company's products. That's why it's important to get sponsored in companies that you actually believe in.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, shouldn't just accept any old sponsorship because
they're going to give you free stuff. Because then you're going to be promoting stuff that you don't like, that you don't really like.
Your credibility amongst companies will fall as well, because you'll just be saying yes to everything, receiving some free products, and then you won't actually be using it because you're like, oh well, I've got this, I used it once, and then I got this one, this frame or whatever. Like, I've not got a frame sponsor because I've never been offered a sponsorship from a frame company where I would legitimately want to use the frame like forever, and that's never happened, so I don't have one. I mean, I'm working with a guy in the UK now to change that, but because if you're forced to that, because you kind of have to use it if they send it you for free, you kind of got to. And if you're forced to use it, you don't like it, you're in a shitty place. So yeah, it's like, oh, this sucks. I don't really want to use this. Yeah.
So that's what happens, and I tell them, look, it's like you got to do something for the company too, and the company is gonna help you too to support you with not just products, but showcase you more, so you can showcase them more, and like back and forth. Do you remember how the sponsorship from GemFund came?
You text me, and Boldman did as well. I don't know. You must have messaged me, and then I didn't get back to you for ages. Mm-hmm. And then Boldman sent me a message, and he was like, yo, Mike from GemFund's trying to get a hold of you or something. And I was like, oh. And so I went through my message requests, and there you were. And then I was like, oh, hey, I'm really sorry. I don't check these very often. But how did it happen from your angle? Because
the same way as you recommended PDVX.
So who recommended me?
Josh.
Did he? Yeah, wicked. Yeah. So you...
Yeah, Josh was
nice.
my first sponsored pilot, the first one that I handpicked. Sick. And then he recommended, like he said, like you should check Sync FPV out. And so like, okay, let's go. And I was like, whoa. And then then you recommended PDVX, and then I was mind blown by PDVX, and then it's crazy good.
He's still going mental every video.
Oh yeah,
something new.
Those guys are just amazing. I'm so proud of the team that I'm putting together. These guys are just crazy good. But before GemFund, you were an Assure pilot,
right? Yes.
So how was the transition between one prop company to another prop company? Like, how was it? Like, not dissing on them. Like I want to make this clear for the audience. Tom is not coerced to talk bad or good about any company. Like, this is a free conversation. It's completely fine.
So I didn't actually have a rep from Azure at all. So I just got my stuff through the shop. The shop would tell Azure, oh, our pilots need X amount. and I would just get, I don't know, like, 60 odd bags of Johnny props once a month. And that was it. That was the deal. And I didn't have to say I was leaving or anything like that. There was no transition, really. I just stopped asking for the props, and that was that. And I guess the guy who ran the shop, Alex, he probably just stopped asking for them for sponsor pilot, and that was the deal. So it was very easy. Sorry it wasn't as juicy as you probably wanted.
No, but it's good because, again, I had no idea, and I know many pilots don't know how this kind of transition goes. Like this case, they didn't have any contact with you.
No, so there was no recourse.
Okay.
So say I turned around tomorrow and was like, oh, Josh just made a new prop and it's really good and I want to use that now. Bye. Like, how would you feel then? Like, that's...
Well, but that depends. But that depends because that's the game that's how they decided to manage the sponsorship. When usually sponsorships are more like a closed communication. I think there should be a close communication with the pilots, feedback from the pilots, like trying to get the pilots to join you if they can perform well, because at the end of the day that's the end goal. Like the end goal is if this pilot can be better, it can represent your brand better. So yeah, of course. So you're obviously always making an effort then to improve relationship with the pilot and sort of like try and get stuff out of that. But what would it take for you to drop someone then? What would I have to do, Mike, for you to say you're off the team, Tom? Sorry, find your own props. If you were to be like the partnership was going to be stopped, it would be because you wanted to stop for some reason, for some personal interest, or I don't know, or because you were rude to the community in a very specific way that like we do not support rudeness. Again, like we try to like something that goes against our like a friendly environment with the pilots and some other pilots. Like again, if you try to force or you mock someone or you try to do something for somebody that is not flying Gemfan and you mock them for some reason, that would be a cause of termination too, because you shouldn't be shaming anyone for not using the same things as you do. It's a personal like use. I don't know, if you stop flying, then there is no purpose for any of us to be in a relationship. That would be another cause of...
Thought we were friends, Mike. All right, fine.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
Stop
I'm
flying. See you later. I'm off. I don't want to fly anymore. No more friendship.
What?
Right? Yeah.
Wait, I can get back. So yeah, like that kind of basic rules are the ones that I apply for this.
Fair enough, man. I was kind of just a tongue-in-cheek question, really, just to like swing this back onto you. But yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Now I'm gonna just bring it back to you. What would it make you say, I'm sorry, I'm not flying Gemfan anymore, goodbye?
The main reason you fly something is because you like the product, right? The main reason you'd be sponsored by someone is because you like the product. If you changed your whole line, or you started making stuff that I didn't like or didn't want to use, then there wouldn't be much point in me being sponsored. I feel like that's the reason. You could do something bad too, I guess. Like Gemfan could come under fire for one reason or another that would be like a negative image thing, and then you'd be like, well, you don't really want to be associated with a brand that like said this, do you? And you're like, well, yeah, actually maybe not. It's an interesting story. There was a Axis Flying, you heard of them? Yeah. They're sort of like started making motors, and they've done some other fairly interesting products actually, but there was a dude that worked for them, or at least we thought he did, and he started this thing called V Squad, and he had loads of cool pilots in there. I was in there, and there was Farouk, there was Blackbird, Onigiri, who else was there?
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, and so I had this V Squad logo at the end because it was going to be this idea eventually, was that it would be a group of pro pilots that would test products for companies all over the world, and then we'd all receive them, we would all test them and just give feedback, and that was going to be the idea. So it was a nice sort of like a way to just get random prototypey type things that will come in every now and again. You just say what you thought and send them back. Nice idea on paper. But then the guy got like outed by Axis Flying, and they just sent a message saying anybody that gets any kind of communication from this guy, he's not working with us, blah blah blah. And they just sort of cancelled him. I don't know what is true or not. I've got to probably disclaimer this and say I don't know. I don't actually know the story, because the guy basically left the internet from all I could see. And so I was just like, well, I'm just going to chop that video off, that logo off the end of my videos, because I just didn't want to be associated with that drama anymore.
That drama.
Because there was all of a sudden there was a drama. I didn't know who was right or wrong. And I was just like, well, I'm not about drama, so I'll just take the logo off and leave it at that.
That makes sense. Like, you didn't want it to be associated with them, not just partnered, but associated with this kind of drama situation, like, and whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to be. Yeah, exactly.
I don't really enjoy drama, like unless it concerns me or affects me somehow.
You mean like the freestyle fours all breaking?
Yeah, that was that. But that was not drama. That was not drama. That's not something I would call drama, because that was a legitimate. That was a legitimate complaint and a legitimate situation. So that was not drama by the community.
It could have graduated to drama if you hadn't stepped in.
Yeah, exactly. Then if we do not like step in and figure everything out and see what was happening and everything, then it would be drama, because other companies and other people would have joined in and like stepped in and talked about this situation. Like, there was drama at the beginning when nobody from this side of GenFan knew what was going on. But when we knew it and we said, okay, so let's acknowledge this and let's stop this and change this and fix this and make it fair for everyone, then it's not drama anymore.
But drama is like, it's always in every hobby. There's always drama of some sort. People live for it, man. Like, I mean, they don't want to be in it, but like, people live to watch drama. That's the whole point. Yeah, exactly. It's engaging. Perfect YouTuber word there. Well done. But there's always got to be some little piece of drama going on, hasn't there? Like, whether it's digital versus analog, or everyone has to have a side, you know? And it's like, there are always these little mini wars. And it's happened from when I was a kid on the playground, arguing between Sega and Nintendo, right? It's like, it's always got to be one. And
Coke or Pepsi? Oh, yeah. God damn you.
I'm 40 next year, and I'm still having this versus this debates with people in my hobby time. It's just like, it's always going to be that way, man. Till we die.
No, it's like people that tell me, why do you fly this? You should be using that. This is much better. It's like, maybe, but it again comes like, why are you flying Battleflight?
Yeah,
this is better.
That's it. That's like, the one that always happens.
But why do you fly? But some people, for me, for different personal reasons, Kiss is not the best option.
But it doesn't matter. Like, somebody has an opinion and you have an opinion, and they're
exactly,
different.
But it's
then
your
opinion. Be drama. Yeah, it's just,
exactly. But the thing is, like, opinions are like dicks.
Yeah,
it's good to have one. You should be proud of yours, but you should not force it to others.
I don't want to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I acknowledge you have one, but I don't want to be like, I don't want it pushed towards me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's true, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, I don't mean it in a completely 100% bad way, though. Like, I enjoy the sort of like the friendly rivalry that I have with friends about different things that we use, you know. Like, there's, I mean, ever since I started, there was always the Kiss versus Betaflight thing, right? And that will go on till these companies don't exist. Yeah, it's what it is. And I think it'll always be a fun little jabbing match between my friends who fly Betaflight and me.
Fanboys.
Yeah, it is.
That's fanboys. Like, I look. I am sponsored by 3B motors, but 3B motors are not the most famous motors in the world, and most of my friends don't fly 3B motors, and they tell me, why don't you fly this? And they're like, because I like this. These ones work for me, and they offered me something, and they just look good. They fly good. What's it?
So on the subject of drama, then you mentioned fanboys. This is real. Like, fanboyism is real. Obviously, like, people love, Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, like iPhone, Android. You have a side, and I know you do, and you can say, oh, just these fanboys. It's like, you definitely fanboy the products that you use, whatever it is.
Sure.
If it's the phone or the flight controller, whatever, like 100%.
Exactly. I'm a fanboy, but I do not shame or push my thoughts on a product to somebody else.
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
I am a Apple fanboy. I have, I'm not kidding, 2 Apple Watches, 2 AirPods.
Is that one for each wrist? In case one runs out.
No, because I give one to my wife. 3 iPhones, 2 iPads, 2 iMacs, 1 Mac Tower, Apple TV. Okay. I have the Apple HomePod. I have everything Apple. I love the ecosystem that Apple built. Yeah, and how it interacts and how it works. I love it. Android has some good shit too.
That was such a one-sided list. I have this. I have that. It's amazing. Android's got some good shit too. That's no. I mean, I am not.
They might have. No, they might have. Like, they have some really good things, and iPhone has some others that really piss me off.
Yeah. No,
but
fair.
Still, I understand that, like, Android has some freedom that Apple could never give me.
I just meant, even though you could claim, like, oh, I just use what's right for you. You don't mind what the other ones are. That's fine. I'm glad that you have fun with that. You are still a bit like, but iPhone is better though.
Yeah, for me, yourself, for a personal
but in
use.
your head, you're like, oh no, you enjoy that Android phone. That's fine. iPhone's better though.
I mean, no, I always tell them, no, you're completely entitled to be wrong. Like, completely.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, again, it happens with props. Like, again, I fly GemFan for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like, if I've met some HQ pilots, and I usually, when I go to fly with other pilots, I bring some props for them too. But I'm not gonna tell them, oh, you fly HQ. No, I cannot give you that. No, if they want to try, we'll just go ahead. If they don't, just be yourself. Whatever works for you, man. Like, but anyway, Betaflight is better.
Oh,